Giving you story after story, everything is true. Some things are kinda scary, so what you gonna do? Cause that's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Sometimes we spit scripture, line upon line, not discussing wickedness, but what is divine. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tales from the Sipp. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tales from the Sipp. Episode 79. Yeah. Now, I had to go on and tell you about this story about my aunt who was real old. She was kind of old when she died, but a lot of people in my family tend to live real old. You know what I'm saying? They tend to live to almost be 100 years old. You know what I'm saying? Or at least 90. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so I had this aunt, man, and she, I call her Aunt Ada. That was her name. You know what I'm saying? This aunt, she was a real character. She was a little bitty, skinny lady. You know what I'm saying? A lot of my people, a lot of my people in my family, you know what I'm saying, is my aunts and uncles stuff. They look tall, skinny people. You know what I'm saying? I bet you saying, well, why you look like you do, Hundo? Hey, man, mind your own business. You know what I'm saying? It's muscles, man. It's muscles. It's not all fat. But anyway, let me keep going. So, Aunt Ada, she was sitting up here, man. You know what I'm saying? She had a lot of stories. I used to go down to her house, man, and talk to her. After she moved back down here, because how like back in the '60s, Great Migration, a lot of black people left the South, moved all around. A lot of my people lived in Chicago, moved to Chicago. Some moved to, you know what I'm saying, Michigan, few of them, not a lot. But, most of them moved to, Illinois, up there in South Side Chicago and out west, you know what I'm saying? Then you had a couple, New York, California, they were all around here. You know what I'm saying? I got a big family. I can tell you a story about that one day, but let me stick to the subject. So now, Aunt Ada, I go down her house one day, you know what I'm saying? Because when I was growing up, she wasn't really living in the where we was, you know what I'm saying? She was living, you know what I'm saying, up north. You know what I'm saying? She got old, moved back down here, like a lot of my aunts and uncles did. You know what I'm saying? Older cousins and all that type of stuff. They moved back to the south. You know what I'm saying? Back to Mississippi and stuff. So I went down there one day. She wanted me to do something. I forgot what it was. But then she started telling me stories, showing me, those pictures on her wall and stuff. She took pictures of people. She took a picture. She had a picture of Malcolm X, and she was telling me the story about how she knew him and all this and that, and how, you know what I'm saying, the story how he ended up getting, knocked off, and his philosophy of life and what he talked about and stuff. She actually knew him. You know what I'm saying? Can't tell say she don't know the dude. She got a picture. You know what I'm saying? So then, and another person she was showing me a picture of her ex-husband who had been died. He had been dead for years. And she was telling me about how, you know what I'm saying, he ended up going to prison for murdering somebody. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of that, Hmm. Nah, I ain't gonna tell you that. I'm gonna keep that to myself. But anyway, I won't say something about somebody in my family, but I ain't gonna do that. Anyway, but she was telling me about how, what he went to prison for. Matter of fact, I might tell you this story about my granddad on my mama's side of the family. But that's for another story. If you listening and you like, comment, share, subscribe, I might tell you the story about him. Now he was a beast. But anyway, so this thing. Now, one day, you know what I'm saying, and Ada was real old, man. And Ada, at the time, she was telling me all these stories. And Ada was like 80, she was in her late 80s then. Like I said, she was a tall, skinny lady. She probably weighed 100 pounds. But, like 5'9", 5'11", something like that. She was a tall, skinny lady. Okay. But she was real old. She may have been like 87, 88 at the time. You know what I'm saying? So she telling me all these stories, doing all this. So she was, kind of in her right mind still at the time. One day, and Ada, man, wasn't, like it normally was. Things started happening. I remember one time I went down there and she was eating some salt meat. I don't know if you know what salt meat is, but you from the South, you probably know if you a little older. You know what I'm saying? You like 35, 40 on up. You might know what that junk is, man. But anyway, it's like bacon. She had got some out the freezer and was just sitting up there with a knife cutting it and eating it. It was raw. I'm like, Aunt Ada, what are you doing? You can't eat that. Like, man, that's raw pig meat. That's raw pork. You can't do that. Worms, all kind of junk. She steady sitting there eating that junk. This was a few, probably a couple of days. It may have been a couple of days. I am serious. It was a couple of days. I'm gonna say a couple of weeks before she left here. She was eating that raw salt meat out the freaking deep freezer, man. Salt meat is kind of like bacon. You know what I'm saying? Maybe somebody know what it is. Anyway, I don't care. I ain't never eat. I ain't eat that junk. But anyway, so next thing you know, later on, it's like her mind started going. This was like a year before she left. Her mind just started going. She started doing weird stuff. She walked down my mama and daddy house, and she, you know, it just blew my mind, man. And then one day she started saying, "They coming, they trying to get me. They trying to get me." I said, "Hey, what you talking about? They coming to get me. They coming to get me." I said, "Oh man." Then I'm sitting there thinking about it. She really was saying they was coming to get her and take her up off this earth. Because that's exactly what happened. A couple of days later, it may have been 3 days later, when she was talking like that. Next thing you know, she was down there. They went down there. My uncle went down there. She was, she was still down there in her house. So, in other words, you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing stories, I seen things like this. I mention this because, and then on the last episode, I was telling you about my daddy. Now, I have seen this a number of times. I believe people know when they getting ready to get up out of here, man. It ain't no way, because every time you see, every time I hear, me living and seeing certain things happen, I'm like, people know when they getting ready to go, man. She knew. She knew she was getting ready to go, man. Because she just kept saying, well, her mind started going, I have been on worms for eating that goddamn salt meat up out the deep freeze. She ain't even cooked the junk. So eating it raw. I said, stop eating that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But that ain't what it was. She was getting ready to leave up out of here. She had started losing her mind. Next thing you know, she kept saying, they coming to get me. Mo, I think most I show people, man. You know what I'm saying? When it's getting that time. So, moral of the story is, hey man, people know when they time coming, but you know what I'm saying, and like I said, Aunt Ada lived to be 89 years old. She was almost 90 when she died. You know what I'm saying? She lived a long and prosperous life. And she was blessed. But our days are just like a vapor. 90 years is not long, man, compared to people thousands of years ago. Look at Adam. Look at Lamech. Look at all the people that were, look at, you know what I'm saying? Look at Methuselah. You know what I'm saying? So, enjoy this little time and get yourself prepared. One day, you're going to meet your maker. Time ain't long, man. You know what I'm saying? She lived to be 89 years old. But it wasn't long. I guarantee she could sit around and she could tell you how when she met Malcolm X, when she was, you know what I'm saying, when she was talking to, Martin Luther King, people like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, that wasn't long ago. So life ain't long, man. So make the best of it while you can. But yeah, Tales from the Sipp, episode 79. Yeah, I had to tell you a little bit about my auntie before she left here. Be on the lookout for episode 80. Yeah, getting right around the corner. About to hit 80. Yes, sir. I had to do something special. Maybe. But anyway, until next time, this is Hondo tuning out. Yes, sir.
That's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Sometimes your boy may go way back in the day, talk about experiences and the games that he played. And that's another tale from the Sipp. That's another tale from the Sipp. Hey.